everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Magical Jill, and today is Halloween. Yay, happy Halloween. And I have a really awesome video for you that my husband recorded. So let's give it all to Jay and, without further ado, let him talk about his little Halloween Dragon Ball special and such. So for my question of the day, I wanted to ask you guys, are there any Dragon Ball movies or episodes or anything that you guys would recommend for Halloween? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, and let's get into it.
When it comes to Dragon Ball, this is one of my favorite properties, franchises, worlds, universes, whatever you want to call it out there. And I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about an often overlooked saga in the Dragon Ball universe, which I truly believe is one of the best things you can watch if you want a Dragon Ball themed Halloween watch or a spookier, kind of horror-inspired Halloween Dragon Ball viewing experience. And that is the Fortuneteller Baba saga. Now with Dragon Ball, many people talk about Z, Super, Z-Kai, they'll talk about the manga, but something that a lot of people don't talk about is the original Dragon Ball anime, and also the original Dragon Ball manga. Yeah, it has plenty of fans, but unfortunately, especially in the West, it seems like Z and on is really where it caught on. And so a lot of people never got the experience or the pleasure of having the experience of watching or reading the original Dragon Ball arcs, something that I highly recommend to people because it is fantastic. Now, this arc actually occurs right after the Commander Red saga, and it's really kind of going to finish off this Dragon Ball arc from the previous arc, where Goku is trying to find the final Dragon Ball in order to resurrect a fallen friend. And I really like this because it's also leading up to the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament as well, and it gets into a lot of very interesting, almost supernatural sides of the Dragon Ball universe that we don't always get to see. This is actually manga chapters about 97 through 112, and also from the original Dragon Ball anime, it's about episodes 68 through 83. You could watch some stuff leading up to it if you wanted to get the context for it, but 68 is really where that Fortuneteller Baba saga starts. And one of the things I think is so cool about this is it essentially is a mini tournament training arc, or even a mini tournament arc, as Goku, Krillin, and even Yamcha, they actually seek out Fortuneteller Baba, the sister of Master Roshi, in order to find that final Dragon Ball that they need. So it's kind of a last step on a quest, but a first step before their next adventure. And it features a lot of different classic monsters, or I should say types of monsters, that we would see in other classic Halloween or horror-inspired shows, movies, books, etc. For example, there's a mummy, there is a devil man, which is essentially a demon, and there is also a mysterious masked final opponent that we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. Now, with the Dragon Ball universe, we do get to sometimes see the more supernatural side of things. We will see things like Goku training with King Kai and being dead in Z, or we will see things like hell, especially in some of the filler or some of the movies, things like that, when it comes to that original anime continuity. And this is where it gets kind of confusing because there's very obviously the book continuity, the manga, that's the primary canon that people point to as canon. And there's more of like a streamlined anime continuity where it's closer to the books, I would say, but it's more things like Dragon Ball, Z-Kai, Super, and a couple of movies. And then there's of course things like the original Toei canon, where it's stuff like all that filler, it's all of that stuff, and some of it has to be canon to itself because it's referenced later on in movies or in GT or in these different things that very clearly were in that Toei continuity of the original anime. What's interesting about this arc is that it's in all three. It's one of the things that actually exists in everything. It's not a filler, so it's not just in that original Toei canon. It's not something that only fits into that more super anime, where it's like the streamlined Z-Kai that followed the manga closer, but then Super is different than the Super manga. It's something where it fits into all three as a manga chapter lot, as a bunch of episodes in both. And so I think it's something that no matter what version of Dragon Ball you enjoy, you can actually get a lot of kick out of this and enjoy these episodes. Now during this, it's essentially a mini tournament, like I said, where Goku, Yamcha, and Krillin are facing off against about 5 fighters from Fortuneteller Baba. And so they're actually practicing leading up to the 22nd martial arts tournament, and it's getting more into that otherworldly spiritual side of things because Fortuneteller Baba is a character that ties very heavily into that. Some of the characters that she has, like Bandages, the Mummy, are actually very interesting because they are sort of based off of that classic monster type that you would see in a very old black and white film. And also, I think this arc does a very good job of developing all 3 fighters, Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha, in different ways and showing off their skills. But that said, it also does a very good job of showing how much of a leg up at this point Goku has on everyone else. There's also some very important plot points actually developed during this. For example, Spike the Devil Man, who uses the Devil Might beam to try and kill Goku because he's able to amplify the inner evil of someone to kill them. Well, when he tries to use that on Goku, it doesn't do anything. Goku's unaffected because he's completely pure of heart. And so that's something that I think also goes to show more characterization from Goku. I think you can very clearly look at this arc and say, okay, Halloween, more spiritual side, we're going up against monsters, but something that a lot of people miss is that this Devil Might beam attack actually shows off a lot of what makes Goku so special all the way up to this point. This is also an extremely important arc because it ties heavily into Goku's past in a very tear-jerking way near the end. Now, this is where we're going to get into a little bit of a spoiler. If you haven't seen this, I would recommend you hop off the video now and go watch it, because I do think that this is something where it could ruin an emotional payoff for you. And I know this is from the late 80s, but I want people to enjoy it. But that said, the masked fighter that Goku is fighting at the very end seems to know a lot about him. He's someone who knows Goku's history, he knows Goku's weaknesses, and he actually is able to give Goku a run for his money in many different ways. That said, this man is none other than Grandpa Gohan himself, a man who took Goku in, raised him, gave him basic martial arts training. Obviously, he would go on to get a lot more from Roshi, Korin, people like King Kai, etc., right? Like, he would go on to get way more. But Gohan established all of these different building blocks for Goku, both in his morals and his skill. And for those who have watched Dragon Ball Z or Kai or any of the later shows or read any of the manga later on, you also know that Gohan was the inspiration of the name for Goku's own son. So that's also a very emotional point here too. And Gohan does something very interesting in this because he comes back from the other world, essentially from heaven, and he actually then has some time where he's able to fight Goku and train him up more and help him hone in on his weakness, which is his tail, which, if he had not trained this, would have pretty much ruined him in the following martial arts tournament. So thanks to Gohan's intervention here, Goku's not only able to get closure on his grandfather's death in many ways, but also Goku is able to overcome a very huge weakness in his own life. I think this is a very fun arc where it deals with these classic monsters, it deals with the spiritual realm, fortune telling, ghosts, different things like that. And I would say it introduces a lot of those concepts to the Dragon Ball universe that would then go on to be expanded on later on in Toriyama's work. But it's something that takes baby steps into doing so and also functions as a mini tournament that I think you could just sit down and enjoy on its own as an arc just for fun.
So I hope you all really enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that I couldn't be in all of it this time. However, I thought it was still a really good video, and I hope that you check out my awesome shop, CosmoBunny.shop. I do have a discount code, which is all caps Sailor, and you can use that code to get 10% off of your first order. I make really cool, one-of-a-kind handmade resin pieces and handmade jewelry, so go check that out. Yay! And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!